the TV, you and me.
Now, when you record it, do you try and get the TV also? Oh, see, and I did
100%, because if not, they're not seeing anything.
Oh, all right. I did, that's why I wanted you to look at what I did, because I thought, does he do the TV? No, he wants us, because you're hearing this.
Or you can just pull up last week's and see what I did yourself. These are all on YouTube. You have access to them. I've sent them out to you, everybody.
The one that, so the one I recorded last week, you redid?
No, I can't redo it, no.
Oh,
How
but I
would
thought you
redo
could
it?
fix it.
I can't show the TV if you didn't show the TV. I
Okay.
can't edit it, no. It's just a
Okay.
recording of
Good
what's
morning.
happening here. Hey.
Mrs. Zizelle, are you going out anytime soon? We got a closing check
Somebody's
right
knocking.
before we was leaving, so.
Somebody's knocking.
Oh, you're gonna do this.
Yeah, I can do it afterward, or?
Yeah, we're doing,
Oh, yes, Thursday.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna run to the bank and do a deposit at Chase.
Okay,
yeah, make sure you
great.
listen for the e-dump, so you accept it. Hello.
Hi, Julie. Oh, what are we ironing? Good morning, Julie. That's her.
Hey there, how are you? Alright, come back over here.
I'm
Yeah, can we, is there any way you, for the time being, can we mute your microphone when it's actually playing? But that's awesome. Google Hangouts is awesome. I didn't realize that it actually shows like the camera and stuff. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
so,
I wonder if I hit something different for that to pop up.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
that's perfect.
There we go. That's awesome. Whoop. Google Hangouts is awesome. Okay, cool. Rockin'. How are you? Julie?
All right,
Yeah.
Julie, do you have a blog set up? Julie, can you hear me?
I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I had myself muted because of what I did to you last week.
That was great. I was just thrilled to death that I figured out how to bring you in. But do you have a blog set up?
I don't have one yet. I have a website called heartofscottsdale.com, and it's kind of in construction right now. I'm using currently my KCM, and I'm feeding those daily blog posts into our general website for John and I. So if you go to our main website, theazpros.com, we have like blog posts coming in through my KCM. So every day there's a different blog post and an infographic if somebody bothers to look. It's a news section on our homepage.
Cool. Do you find then that for the most part you get some decent activity going on?
No, and that's something I need to re-engineer a little bit and rethink. A lot of the stuff that the last couple weeks that Tom Ferry's been talking about in this class has made me sort of go back and revisit a little bit more about doing video. So I'm probably going to remove that because I don't think it's engaging enough. I think as long as we have some sort of maybe would be better.
Yeah.
In my full opinion. So I'm working with our web design people on our main page, and I'm gonna try to get into this Real Geeks thing and understand it better, because I tried to do a post on it and it wouldn't let me. So I must have something wrong. So either you or Josh can maybe walk me through how to do my first one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no problem. Absolutely.
Okay. Because
Thank you.
I last week in just doing like a quick selfie and posting it on Facebook, I had 55 people comment.
I know, yours was so cute. I absolutely adored it. It was so like perfect. I think that's the trick, you know, do something quick, down and dirty, and we're doing some market videos, and that's what I'm going to try to switch over, just like a market sort of, but they're usually about a minute and a half. And we've been, when I do post them on my Facebook page, those get the most likes, the most shares, the most engagement. So I just need to get better about doing like a once a week show, like Tom was saying. I really like that idea, because I think it's one of my niche audiences, and my client base is first time home buyers, and a lot of them are millennials, and they just like the video.
Okay, all right, I think that's cool.
Last week, hold on, I'm pulling up, because I saw yours, Mom, I saw Kim's, I didn't see.
And I saw Fred's.
I saw the beginning of Fred's, I didn't get to go back to it. But Kim's had, hold on a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 people commented, and she actually got a couple decent leads out of her video too. So what you guys did last week definitely got noticed.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay, all right. Well, that was the whole purpose, was just to, you know, attempt to do it and then see what happens. Because like you said, Julie, if we can on a weekly basis do something just very similar, if anything, is just getting our faces out there.
Yeah, and I think the key is I always get myself in a pickle, because I want it to be perfect, and I think it has to be so fancy and long, and it doesn't. It just has to be a quick 60-second, 40-second little blurb about, hey, I just wanted you to know about something today that I'm excited about. And it doesn't have to be so, I don't want to say polished, but you know what I mean. I think it's better to just be genuine and quick and do it than not do it at all. Where did Kim post hers? On the Real Geek site or on her Facebook page?
Where did you post? On her Facebook page.
Yeah. I think we need to do a class so you guys know how to post stuff on our blog and start taking advantage of it, because
well, that's what
I think we should do a class or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I would totally. I'd be the first one there with bells on.
Okay. All right. Well, because this one's kind of short today, then I'm going to see if maybe Josh can take Kim and I through the process of doing that, and then we'll hook you in on it. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, all right.
Cool.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started then with the mega open house. And I love the concept, but I also love how we can totally tweak this and make it meet your needs with whatever community, wherever you are hosting your open house. So, are you all ready?
I am. I'm gonna mute my microphone just in case I get a call again.
All right, and we'll talk to you soon.
But from what I hear, you handled it very, very well.
Yes, it was impressive, and it didn't bother us.
Okay,
You
thank
were
you.
good. All right.
Well, welcome back. It's week 5. Are you on Twitter? If you are, I want you to send me a tweet at Tom Ferry. That's at Tom Ferry on Twitter, because I want to know your breakthrough. I want to hear your story. What's happened in the first 4 weeks? Now, if you're not on Twitter yet, or you're just not comfortable, go to facebook.com/Coach Tom Ferry, one word, Coach Tom Ferry, and share it with me there. Either way, I want to hear from you. I want to know how you're doing. I want to hear about your successes, how you're getting more stuff done and having a breakthrough. Now, last week, we talked about online traffic and conversion. Are you in action? Are you taking action, everybody? Yes? Yes. Wonderful. Now, I bet your project board is really filling up, yes? And you know what? That's a good thing, because you're getting those ideas out of your head and up into a system where you can get them from do to doing to done. Now, today, I'm going to teach you how to generate listings by using our mega open house marketing campaign. Would you like to generate more listings from open houses? Yes. The answer, of course, is yes. So, I want you to do business in a way that causes you to stand out and become the agent of choice in communities you want to work. And one of the easiest ways to do it is by hosting a mega open house. So today, we're going to learn 4 things. Number 1, what is a mega open house? Number 2, how do we market and make sure that the right people show up? Number 3, how do we work that mega open house? And then lastly, how do we follow up to win the appointments? Now, in your book, it says the number 1 goal of an open house, and by this I mean, the regular open houses that we do all the time. The number 1 goal is to schedule and find one person, to schedule an appointment and find one person that wants to sell in the next 30 days. That's a regular open house. The goal, on the other hand, of a mega open house is to meet 3 potential sellers. We want to get 3 potential sellers from every mega open house we do. Now, all of you know the power of focus. Whatever you put your focus on, that's what you get. So when you're doing a mega open house, the whole focus is around finding that neighbor who's thinking about selling. We all know that when one home sells, usually 2 more sell right away. Who wants the listings?
We do.
Absolutely. So a mistake that we see agents making all the time is they don't view their open houses as a listing attraction opportunity. Now, what do we know? We know that, as I said, when one home sells, usually 1 or 2 more come on the market right away. So the goal of the mega open house is to make sure that you are on the radar of any potential sellers around that home. So, in your notes, I want you to write down, what is a mega open house? The simple answer is, it's a small or large party for the neighborhood to say goodbye to the sellers and introduce you as the listing agent, which allows you to find those 2 to 3 next potential sellers. So again, a mega open house in your mind is like throwing a party, where I'm inviting all the neighbors to come in, say goodbye to their neighbors that are leaving, and ultimately connect with you to find out what's happening in terms of price. Now, before you say to me, Tom, throw a party, I think some of my sellers should be throwing me a party just for selling their home. I hear you, but I want you to think about it this way. When an agent really wants other agents to show up to their broker previews, what do they provide? They provide food. Well, guess what, my friends? This is the same exact concept, except we don't want other agents there. We want our next seller to show up. And wouldn't it be worthwhile to maybe provide some sandwiches, or, hey, if you know your neighbor, maybe it's wine and cheese in that community is the appropriate strategy. The bottom line is this: by providing a little bit of food or maybe wine and cheese, if that's right for your community, you will absolutely cause people to show up. So the question I get the most when I talk about this, and I've shared this now around the world, in Bavaria, in Germany, to down in Sydney, Australia. We've got people everywhere doing this campaign and winning listings because of it. It's important, though, that you make the right decisions up front. Because should you do this on every open house? Or do you think it might be a special property you want to do this for? What do you guys think? Probably going to be a special property. So write this down. When you want to use this, number 1, you could use this with a seller that you're looking to secure the listing on. So if everybody else is doing A, B, and C in terms of marketing, and you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the special things I'm going to do when you list your home with me is I'm going to throw a mega open house to drive more traffic into your home. If you can use it as a degree of separation to win a listing you want, that's an excellent idea. Number 2, I wrote down, you definitely want to do this in a neighborhood that you want to dominate. How many of you have a community or two where you want to become, or you are, and you always want more, but you want to be the go-to listing agent in that neighborhood? You guys got a few of those? So if I have one of those, or I want one of those, the mega open house is an excellent strategy to cause you to stand out amongst all the neighbors in that community. Number 3, I wrote down, You can also use this after a price reduction if the listing perhaps has gotten a little tired, or maybe after you got an extension on the listing and you needed something to offer that seller as a promise to give me the listing again, but we need to do something more in terms of marketing. So there's many different ways that you can utilize this. The one thing I will say to you is this: if it's a unique home, or it's a special property, or it's in a part of town that's really desirable, mega open houses become unbelievable under those circumstances. We have a client in New York who did this in upstate New York on a home that's about 125 years old, and it's a special property right in the heart of town. So anyone that knows this community drove by that home hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, throughout the year. The home had not been on the market for close to 50 years. So when he threw the mega open house, 600 people showed up. He said it was a little overwhelming. He didn't have enough food, or certainly enough to drink, but guess what? Immediately following, he had 5 scheduled listing appointments from other people saying, wow, how did you get this listing? Wow, is it really going to sell for this much? He is now the dominant agent in that part of town from one mega open house. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Now, there is a flip side. The flip side is, when do you not do this? So I want you to consider, you definitely don't want to do a mega open house in a price range that you don't want more listings for. So let's say your average sales price is X. If this listing is down here, unless you want a whole bunch of them, this is not a good idea, because it's going to attract new potential sellers. The second thought is if it's in an area that's not geographically desirable, or a part of town that you don't want to concentrate on, then this is a bad approach. So is everybody clear? We want to be going after nice houses in areas that you really want to work at price ranges that are right for you, and that's where you can justify doing a mega open house. So how do we start? You see in your notes, first thing we want to do is pick a date. Now, you want to make sure you give yourself enough time to make arrangements and do marketing. I found the ideal time frame is about 2 weeks to get everything you need done to make this happen. One of the videos you'll be watching sometime on tomferry.com is by one of our great clients, Anthony Riggins. Anthony is a fantastic geographic farmer in Northern California. He does mega open houses sometimes twice a month. And he said, Tom, it takes me about 2 weeks to kind of plan the party. But watch this, my friends. When he started incorporating mega open houses into his business, he was able to grow his sales volume and transactions from 25 sales to 50 transactions in 1 year. When we asked him what was the big difference that made the difference, he said, Tom, I own the area now. I am the agent of choice. So he's doing it twice a month. So just always be mindful. You need about 2 weeks to plan it out. The second thing on your list is pick a great partner. You know, maybe your lender or another affiliate in your business who would like to use this as a way to build their business as an opportunity. And by the way, they could also offset some costs. Number 3, lunch or wine and cheese. Lunch or wine and cheese. Now, again, I really don't care what you serve, and you know your customers. What I want you to decide is, who do I want to attract? What are these neighbors like? And what's the ideal setting? Should it be done as a lunch, or should it be done as a Thursday evening wine and cheese, as an example? That's you knowing your customers and knowing your market and making the right choice. Now let's talk about the marketing plan, because when you see this, you'll understand why that 2 weeks is so important. In the beginning, it's selecting the date, it's deciding on the venue, it's getting your people involved, it's getting your marketing together. But now, inside 7 days of that mega open house, here's what we recommend. If you want to, now look up here everybody, if you want to generate a lot of referrals, get referrals from your sellers, and absolutely be the agent in that community, this is the plan you want to follow. On Monday, you see in your notes, it says you're going to record a video invitation to the open house. Now, I'm going to give you just a simple example. So, you know, I probably wouldn't do this on my iPhone. I'd maybe have someone on my team holding this, but essentially the video goes like this. Ready? Hi, my name is Tom Ferry, and I'm standing in front of 1234 Banana Street. This beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bath home has not been on the market for close to 15 years, and it's going to be held open for the first time this weekend. And this is your invitation to join us. Now, if you're thinking about buying a home and you want to be in the community of X, you know homes here are right next to school A, B, and C, 57 Starbucks, and shopping galore. So you describe the area. So again, the property is going to be held open this Sunday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. If you're in the market, please stop by. If you know someone that wants to live in this community, by all means, send them this video ASAP and let them know to come by the open house. Thanks again, I'm Tom Ferry. Talk to you soon. Boom, and the video ends. Now, remember last week we talked about the power of video. By recording that video and doing what I want you to do on Tuesday, the referral opportunities are going to start. So look at Tuesday. You're going to email that video to all the buyers in your database. Remember all those buyers that you've been following up on from the online marketing conversation? What an excellent thing to send them. Please come to my open house. But notice in your notes, it also says, post it on Facebook. Do you think I want you to post that video on your personal page? What do you think?
Yes.
No, I want you actually to post that video on your seller's Facebook page. Even better, when you're listing the home, the dialogue you're going to have with your customers, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, selling a home requires some collaboration. For example, I'm going to record a video inviting people to your open house. Would you mind posting that video on Facebook to let your friends know that the home is for sale and that we want them to come to the open house? Now, listen, my friends, if your seller has 550 friends on Facebook and they post your video as the listing agent on their Facebook page, do you think there's a chance you might get some referrals? What do you guys think? Right, we call it friend-of-friend marketing, FOFM, friend-of-friend marketing. It's your seller telling all their friends on Facebook that you are their listing agent, and by showing that video, the referral opportunities will begin. Now, on Wednesday, this is where it gets interesting. You have to decide, are you going to mail or are you going to door knock? But in some way, you've got to get the invitations out. You've got to let the community know that you're inviting them to this incredible little lunch and opportunity to say goodbye to the neighbors. Now, if you're in a vertical living, high-rise community, if you're in New York City or downtown Chicago or in Miami, you're not going to be able to knock on doors. So you're going to mail the invitation. If you're in a community where you can knock, 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 I highly encourage you to go out and take the time to knock on the doors and make that special connection, that face-to-face, that handshake that can never be replicated or created in the form of a mailer. Does that make sense? Consider the following, right? On Land Voice, you can actually type in the address of your open house and immediately have access to 250 of the closest neighbors just like that. So now you know who they are, and you can easily either mail or go knock on their doors. In terms of knocking on their doors, or that invitation, you're going to see some examples inside your workbook. Imagine, though, something as simple as this. Knock, knock, knock. I've got a flyer in my hand, a smile on my face, and I say, hi, my name is Tom Ferry. I don't know if you know this, but I just listed your neighbor's home. You know, Tom and Sandy down the street. And did you know the home is on the market? And I hand them the flyer. Now, what are they immediately going to look at? What do they want to see on that flyer? They want to know the price. So make sure the flyer has the price and it's big and it's obvious, or you point it out, and then on the back of your flyer of that house could be the invitation to join them at lunch. Now the best thing you could do is just knock, knock, knock. Hi, I am. Did you know this home just was listed? I'm the listing agent. Here's the information, and then grab the flyer and show them the back. We'd like to invite you to join us for lunch. It's going to be this Sunday from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, allowing you a chance to preview the home before everybody else, enjoy lunch, and say goodbye to the sellers. Say goodbye to your neighbors. Would you like to join us? That simple. You don't want to get into, do you want to sell? Have you any thoughts of moving? All you want to do is invite them to lunch. Does that make sense? And with those great smiling eyes of yours and a nice handshake, you're going to begin to cultivate some relationships in that community or spark up ones that perhaps you haven't seen in a while. On Thursday, this is an interesting opportunity. You can also access any and all old expired listings in that community. Would it be worthwhile for you to market to that old expired and invite them to come to your open house? What do you think? The answer is 100% yes. By the way, when you knock on the door of that expired listing, look up here, I've got a wonderful little dialogue for you. You know it's an expired. You know when it expired. You walk up, knock, 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 and they go, hi, can I help you? And you say, hi, my name is Tom. I'm the listing agent down the street. Did you know this home was on the market? We wanted to invite you to lunch. And I show them the back of the flyer, inviting them to lunch. And then I go, weren't you guys on the market 2 summers ago? And in that moment, guess what they know? They know you do your homework and you're an expert. And you say, you know, the good news is, and I'm sorry to say, you didn't sell then, the market's improved. You give them a little dialogue on what's going on. Don't get too heavy. Just acknowledge the fact that the home was once on the market and you know it. And then invite them to lunch. Now remember, when we talk about expired listings, if they're going to select another agent, they're looking for someone who's doing things differently. And you are already demonstrating it by doing a mega open house. So on Thursday, that could be a really fun way for you to more target potential listings in the community. So now it's showtime. It's Sunday morning, assuming you decided not to do the mega open house on a Thursday evening, as an example. You can see in your marketing schedule, we've got 3 things in your timeline. From 9:30 to 11 o'clock, we want you to put out as many signs as humanly possible. Now, today I'm going to give you access to a powerful little training by one of our great coaches and clients, Andy C., who's selling 20 to 30 homes a year in his marketplace just from open houses. He tells all the people he coaches for us, if you're not putting out 30 open house signs, you're not doing open houses right. So think about that for a minute. When you look at 9:30 to 11, put out as many signs as you can. Now, before you say, oh my goodness, Tom, how much time? Well, it could take you 90 minutes. That's why we blocked off that time. Consider the following. With all those signs out, knowing that the average agent only puts 3, sometimes 4 open house signs out, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be doing your open house, and people are going to say things like this. I see your signs everywhere. Is there anything bad about that statement? I could just imagine you for a moment looking at a potential customer and saying, gosh darn it, I wanted to be a secret agent and keep my success on the down low. No, we want them to see the signs. We want them to see your name in lights as much as possible. And again, we know the more signs, the more traffic being driven. Then from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, we do the seller's lunch, and we're going to talk in a minute about what your strategy is and how you're going to do that. And then from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, you do your regular open house. Now that I've showed you the marketing plan, and you see the depth of what needs to be done, can you realize now why you could generate 2 or 3 listing appointments from a project like this? Can you guys get that? Right? Rather than just doing a regular open house, which are fantastic, but in that case you put out 3 or 4 signs, maybe you run an ad, and you kind of hope and pray to the real estate gods that somebody shows up. In this case, we're becoming the dominant agent in that marketplace. That's why we're doing so much. So now let's transition and talk about how do we prepare for your open house. So find that in your workbook. How do we prepare for your open house? You know, it's been said that those that prepare are the ones that succeed at the highest level. So we've given you a list of things to remind you to do before every open house. Number 1 on your list, of course, is having other listings around your open house, and ideally a pocket listing or 2 or a property you know that's coming on the market. That way, when you meet with a buyer, you have a really good reason to follow up, and they have a really good reason to connect with you. Number 2, of course, financing option sheets prepared by your lender, always a good idea. Number 3, do you all have the app Open Home Pro? Do you know the app Open Home Pro? If you don't have that app, I highly encourage you to look at it. It's an electronic app version of what we've used for years called a sign-in sheet. The difference is with Open Home Pro, it gives you the back-end solution to follow up on all those buyers, and there's something great about handing someone an iPad and saying, fill in your information. By using an app like Open Home Pro, you're simply standing out amongst other agents and providing a more relevant tool for your potential customers. In addition, number 4, always bring a big stack of your business cards. I'm always shocked by walking into an open house and seeing an agent that didn't have a card with them. That's not a good idea. Number 5, property flyers or a brochure on the home, of course with all your contact information. Number 6, bring pieces that show the strength of your company. You know, when we look at the consumer trends, one of the reasons why consumers are selecting you as an agent is the brand name that you have affiliated with. Whether it's the dominant local boutique or the big behemoth brand, either one is fine. Make sure you're playing up your company's success in the marketplace at every open house you do. And then lastly, number 7, of course, bring a laptop or an iPad to make sure you can do instant property search right there on the spot. So take a look at that list very quickly and just identify, is there one or two that maybe you forgot to do that you've got to add back in to be more prepared? Go ahead and do that now, because in a minute, we're going to talk about what we do at the Mega Open House to attract those listing appointments.
Now, what's interesting is instead of the Open Home Pro, and I haven't taken advantage of it, it's visual.
So now let's discuss how we work this Mega Open House. In your notes it says, number 1, when you're doing it, you want to be standing at the front door.
When it comes to the, it's one of the main reasons I love listing power tools. Spill my coffee. It provides a unified look, right? So they provide the mailer option, which is as affordable can be. You know, it's not as affordable as Every Door Direct, but they flat out target the neighbors with
Yes,
really high
yes,
quality materials
yes.
that are branded directly to you with a look, right?
Yeah.
And then with the Power Pack, you get all the handouts that you can use. It comes with the door, you know, the things to put on the door if they're not there. It comes with the thank you cards, but it also has about, what, 75 to 100 total different marketing pieces that are perfect for handing out, and then whatever you didn't hand out, you just leave there at the house, and it's just great stuff. And so it really tackles both of those. But I can't stress enough, it's the entire package. You know, it's everything he's saying is perfect, but it's impressing the neighbors with going above and beyond. You know, and so whatever you can do to go above and beyond, that's what will set you aside. And that's what will make the neighbors appreciate what you're doing in whatever shape or form, whether it's having lunch, breakfast, having a theme. I had somebody do a movie night, I had another person that had bouncy houses, I had another person bring a food truck. I mean, whatever it is to kind of bring a unique idea to your open house and set you aside to know that it impressed the neighbors. That's fundamentally what it's at.
This is why when we did a mega house, Darryl and I did, and it was for an upscale home there in Mesa. Absolutely, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful home. And so we thought by doing lunch, and so we did kind of like the hors d'oeuvres, and we went out and marketed. We had our partners help us with all of that. So they not only did the flyers, and we didn't have enough flyers made because we handed out 150, and then we had 50, so 200. We hit the neighborhood, 50 homes to invite them for lunch, and then we hit the rest of the neighborhood, and we only had 100. So no, well, it was 150. Didn't have enough flyers. And so that's my only thought with listing power tools is I love the quality, but depending on where you're at, you know, I think it never hurts to have too much.
Oh yeah, no, the Power Pack is the Power Pack. Yeah, it's not meant to hand out for 200. There's other solutions for that, but that's where between the mailer and that you're making sure, because your neighborhood, any average neighborhood is going to have 500 plus homes. You know, if you get out to Surprise Farms, 12,000 homes in that neighborhood. So the more you can reach, the better. And
Well,
having the
yeah.
awesome signs, but supplementing, if you can, as much door knocking as
Yeah.
possible, as
Yeah.
much as
Yeah.
possible, making that face to face.
Because the one thing that stood out when we did this, and I thought, with all of my open houses from now on, this is what I will do, is where the house is, you wanna make sure that you hit all 4 directions. And that's why, I think it never hurts to have more than enough by doing that. But it's gonna take you maybe 2 days in order to do the door-to-door. Because depending on where you're at and who you are targeting. So I just took out of my mega house, open house, is that I'm keeping it too small. And so I need to broaden it, and that's why my goal next time is that I'm gonna have more flyers, but again, in taking advantage of listing power tools, but the beautiful thing about our partners is that they can create free for us our flyers. And so I had one specific for the lunch as well as one that just for the open house, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I agree. So I love this part, so this is when starting the open house, okay?
With your sellers as the neighbors are walking in. Now, if you're asking, why would you want to do that? Think about it this way. If I'm standing with Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and as neighbors are walking up, what are they potentially going to say about me as the listing agent? Could they say things like, oh, Tom Ferry, he's the best, we got fish tacos in the back, or we're having these great chips, or we're doing wine and cheese? They're going to be validating their reasons why they selected me as an agent to potentially 20, 30, 40 neighbors back to back. Is that a good thing for our brands? What do you guys think? Right? That's word of mouth on steroids. So you want to stand with the sellers, introduce yourself, make the connection, shake their hands. You're not going to get in any dialogue with them yet. It's just a chance to meet and greet. The second thing, and this is where it's real important for us, you've got to be prepared to answer the questions, how's the market? Because they're going to ask you that. Hey, wow, how's the market? What's going on? You priced this pretty aggressively, or you priced it low. They're going to want to know that from you. But the big one, and the one you're waiting for, is this. Have you guys ever done an open house where someone walks up and says, so is this really going to sell for, and they name the price? In that moment, what is that neighbor really trying to determine? How much is my home worth? And you've even had people say to you, is this really going to sell for $450? And then they say, well, if this one's going to sell for $450, that makes mine worth $500 or $550. Have you experienced that before? Well, I want you to consider that that's the door we're looking to open by doing the Mega Open House. That, my friends, is the excellent opportunity for you to connect with that customer and schedule a time to meet and talk about the value of their home and perhaps their motivation to sell it. Does that make sense? So our most important questions we're waiting for is, how's the market? And is it really going to sell for X? Or any combination about price? Because that's your trigger to know that that customer wants to find out how much their home is worth. One of the masters of this is our great client Tim Smith in Southern California. Tim does mega open houses at least once a month. And as his coach, I've had the good fortune to walk around and shadow him during these experiences, kind of a fly on the wall to see what he does. Here's what's great. He wears his company name badge, so it's very obvious that he's in the real estate business and that he's the listing agent. And since he stood at the front door and shook all their hands as they were walking in, he'd already made a little bit of a connection. He then spends the next hour just walking around and talking to all the people as they're looking at the home. In one circumstance, I watched him in a home that the center of the home was right as you walked in, and every part of the house fed off that. So he just stood right there where everybody was walking by and just said, do you have a question? Can I help you? And again, they would say, wow, great house. Is it really going to sell for? Wow, if it's going to sell for that, how's the market? I watched Tim in one 90-minute lunch set 4 listing appointments in a 90-minute lunch. Would that be a good use of your time? So it's important that you understand when you're doing the mega open house, Your job is to be focused on finding that next person, so you want to meet everyone you can. If you're doing this on a Thursday night, wine and cheese, you're not supposed to be in the corner drinking wine. Your job is to be meeting and greeting and finding the next appointment. Now, once the lunch is over, please write this down. This is the time where we want the sellers and the neighbors to ultimately leave so we can do the open house. This is the time. Now, if you need to, you say to the customers in advance, we're going to hold the lunch, you're going to be here from X to Y, and then as always, we'd like you to leave the open house and allow me to do what I do. And most of us are very comfortable with that language. From there, let me ask you a question. When the open house begins, what's your plan when a buyer walks in? What dialogues do you use every time to find out who they are, what they're about, and ultimately, can you help them? In your workbook, I want to take a look at a quick dialogue that I want you to begin to incorporate every time you do an open house. And what we found is the most successful agents we coach ask these basic questions every time. Question number one, hey, thanks for coming by. How did you find the home? Isn't it funny today, the number of people that say, gosh, I found it online? Remember a time when we found it in the newspaper? So today we say, hey, how did you find the home? So question number two is, how long have you been looking at a home? Now we know that question's important because if they say, gosh, we've been looking for 6 months, they're a little more in the game than perhaps the person that just started looking yesterday. We all know that timeline of buyers, so we need to be aware of that. Question number three, we're always going to ask, what sites are you looking on? What sites? Gosh, I'm looking at this site and that site, and I'm tracking properties over here. By the way, we ask that question, it lets us know their motivation. If they begin to say, well, I've liked a bunch of homes, and I'm hearted a bunch of homes, and I'm following these properties, that shows us this buyer's a little more qualified and a lot more interested than the person that's just beginning their search. Number four, we always want to ask the question, how's the home search going so far? Now, when you ask that question, you're looking for the person that says, well, it's not that great. There's no inventory, or we've been unable to find the kind of property that we want. You see, I want you to write down in your notes a real important distinction. So in your notes, write down, we solve problems for a profit. We solve problems for a profit. And in the case of a buyer, our job is to identify what their problem is. Can they find a great home? Are they being outbid in their negotiations? Are they looking in the wrong areas? Once we determine their problems, we then solve the problems, and that's how we make our money. So we ask, how's the home search going so far? They tell us what's going on. We're looking for the problem. Then we ask number five, very important, our buyer unique selling proposition. We specialize in helping people just like you find the right home in the right neighborhoods at the right price and with the right terms. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing more about? Now, in that moment, you're going to see a whole lot on that buyer's face. You're going to see everything from, we're already working with another real estate agent, we're not sure what to do now, I kind of want to work with you, to, sure, that sounds great. We're looking for someone that knows what they're doing, who's an expert, and everything in between. Then we ask number six, hey, why don't we schedule a time to meet for 15 or 20 minutes? How's Monday or Tuesday at 4? Or how's this afternoon after my open house? Or sometime tomorrow? By simply asking those first 5 questions and then the last one with a close, you're going to discover a lot. And more importantly, you're going to schedule a lot of buyer opportunities. Does that make sense, everybody? I think you're going to find those scripts, that simple little dialogue, making your job of converting those leads at open houses much easier and much faster. So now let's talk about how do we follow up and make sure we secure more appointments from doing the mega open house and our regular open house. In your notes, you're going to see again, I asked if you have an iPad. I strongly recommend the app Open Home Pro. This app will allow you to capture more information from buyers who are looking at that property and want to know more. And by the way, it makes it easy for you to follow up with those interested customers. In addition, I wrote down with the neighbors. Please write this down. Consider sending them a text message or an email is great, and if all else, a nice little personal note. Just very quickly though, text and email much better than the personal note. Can anybody tell me why? It's faster, yes, but when was the last time you got a personal note back from someone? The reality is you send a text, I get a quick response. I send an email, I get a quick response. I send a note, who knows what happened. Does that make sense? In the world of following up today, we want to do it electronically to make that connection. So, very important, while you're doing the mega open house, should you be getting as many names and numbers as possible? Okay, 100% yes. Even it's as simple as, here's my business card if you ever need anything. By the way, if I needed to send you information, what's the best way for me to reach out to you? An email or cell. Today, you capture it in Open Home Pro, and you got them all. Then, after the open house and the mega open house, we're going to send out our follow-ups. Now, obviously, for potential leads, you will follow up as promised to schedule an appointment or to qualify for greater understanding of what that customer needs. Very important, write this down. I want you to schedule 45 minutes to an hour immediately after your open house, unless you're meeting with a client. I want 45 minutes to an hour. I know you might want to decompress. I understand. You just met with all those people, but I want you to do your follow-up while it's fresh. What I find is most agents wait to do their follow-up on Monday, and guess what? You forgot the little distinctions, the little things that you remembered about their blue eyes, or their young children, or the dog that they asked, could they walk through the home? When you have those little details fresh, you include them in your follow-up, and what does it show the customer? That you are paying attention. So that's the mega open house campaign. Are you committed to try it at least once? Yes? I know every one of you that's watching, you might have some questions in your mind like, oh my goodness, is he really asking me to throw a party? Maybe I need 4 weeks to set it up. It's okay. I promise you this, when you find a great home in a great area that you absolutely want to dominate and you want to make a splash in the community, when you do an open house, people are going to know your name and they're going to know that you're the agent at the minimum that they should talk to if they're thinking about selling their home. So let's talk about some assignments. In your workbook, here's what we got. Number 1, guess what I want you to schedule every day? An hour of power. Every day, I want you to continue to book that time, to schedule that time, to keep building your business. Now, after a mega open house, could that entire hour of power just be lead follow-up? Absolutely yes. So in your notes, you're to schedule an hour every day. In addition, I want you to schedule an hour or more this week to continue to work on your business. I know as you're going through this program, you're saying to yourself, I've got so much going on. I've got so many projects. Are you feeling some of that? Of course you are. That's why every week you've got to stop, pause, look at, take a big deep breath, and schedule time to work on your business. Remember when we first started this course, I said to you, if an agent can simply get their business organized, they can double their income. To get organized, you've got to schedule time to work on your business. Do you still want to double your business? Do you still want that breakthrough? So make sure you schedule that time. And then the last one, number 3, if you have a listing coming up, I'm going to strongly recommend you do a mega open house to watch what happens. In addition, I wrote down for you, if you need some additional training on open houses, I want you to check out the bonus that we placed at tomferry.com just for you of Andy C. Andy is that great coach, that great client who I mentioned, who's selling 20 plus homes a year through open houses. Inside this training, you're going to hear all of his great dialogues, what he says, and of course, you are going to hear, you've got to put out 30 signs. But if you want more assistance there, watch that quick 15-minute video on the website and keep learning, keep adding those great tools to grow your business. So, in addition, the last thing I wrote down is, I want you to review all of the additional dialogues that we placed inside your workbook. We didn't go through them all today because it could take us 15 or 20 minutes just to review and role play all those scripts. So what I want you to do is this. I want you just to spend 15 minutes at the end of this training, Review all those different dialogues, the invitation dialogues, the knocking on door dialogues, the what do you say to the neighbor dialogue when they've got more questions, how's the market? It's all there and waiting for you. Remember, knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear. When I know what to say, I'm going to go out and do what I need to do. But if I don't know what to say, I'm going to be afraid of rejection or looking bad. So you might want to consider reading those scripts 5 or 6 times just to get comfortable with the dialogue, so you're not just reading a script, but instead your personality comes out and you've just got some better words. All right, so as we wrap up, I can't wait to see you in session 6, where we're going to show you how to create a breakthrough in your business. Get organized. You've got to schedule time to work on your business. Do you still want to double your business? Do you still want that breakthrough? So make sure you schedule that time. And then the last one, number 3, if you have a listing coming up, I'm going to strongly recommend you do a mega open house to watch what happens. In addition, I wrote down for you, if you need some additional training on open houses, I want you to check out the bonus that we placed at tomferry.com just for you of Andy C. Andy is that great coach, that great client who I mentioned, who's selling 20 plus homes a year through open houses. Inside this training, you're going to hear all of his great dialogues, what he says, and of course, you are going to hear, you've got to put out 30 signs. But if you want more assistance there, watch that quick 15-minute video on the website and keep learning, keep adding those great tools to grow your business. So, in addition, the last thing I wrote down is, I want you to review all of the additional dialogues that we placed inside your workbook. We didn't go through them all today because it could take us 15 or 20 minutes just to review and role play all those scripts. So what I want you to do is this. I want you just to spend 15 minutes at the end of this training, review all those different dialogues, the invitation dialogues, the knocking on door dialogues, the what do you say to the neighbor dialogue when they've got more questions, how's the market? It's all there and waiting for you. Remember, knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear. When I know what to say, I'm going to go out and do what I need to do. But if I don't know what to say, I'm going to be afraid of rejection or looking bad. So you might want to consider reading those scripts 5 or 6 times just to get comfortable with the dialogue, so you're not just reading a script, but instead your personality comes out and you've just got some better words. All right, so as we wrap up, I can't wait to see you in session 6, where we're going to show you how to create a breakthrough in your business through geographic farming. So no overwhelm. We're going to stay nice and planned. We're going to continue to do our work, and we're going to continue to experience a breakthrough. Thanks for being a part of today's training. So I know you're ready for that next incredible open house. I just cannot stress enough. Watch the Andy C video and the Anthony Riggins video to get even more wonderful tips from the agents in the trenches doing exactly what they learned at one of my seminars. By the way, if I haven't seen you face to face, it's probably time. So the next time you're on tomferry.com, look at the events section. If we get a chance to be face to face, I'd love to give you a high five and hear firsthand about your breakthrough experience. Good luck with your next open house, and I'll see you next week.
So inside the Tom Ferry thing, since I'm a member, everybody has access to Tom Ferry's everything here, and we have it on the website. So the username is my email address, which is josh@brupham.com. And then the password is just Ezel, my last name with a capital E. And that'll allow you to log in. And then what they were talking about is under resources, you have everything. So open house, for example, right here. Just click on it and you'll see it pops up right down here. And so like, for example, case study, you can download it yourself or you can just view it, for example. And featuring, so this is James Juarez. Okay. And so James, average sales price, $1.5 million. And
Leads per month.
there you go.
Appointments.
Yeah. So just from open houses. So you have a lot of different things.
So we could just type in NBC or this Anthony Riggins.
Yep. Well, you have here, for example. But what I love too is open houses. There's a lot of great ways to do open houses. And one of the guys here locally that is a guru is Joshua Smith. And so on our training, on our website, whatever it's called, our YouTube channel, there we go, I have a section for open houses as well. And so when you go to the playlist, you can go right down to, let's see, commercials, biz posting expireds. I have a lot of great topics, hopefully. Objection handling, finances, open house. There we go. So in here, let's start. I have 5 videos currently. So we got open house training. This is his official training. It's a little over 2 hours long, but he kind of walks you through exactly what Tom did, just in a different way. And his is just as effective. This is kind of a brief summation of it. And then this is 5 steps for driving traffic. So this is another kind of elaboration that Tom has on today's video. And then of course change your baselines, which obviously if you're going to do open houses, you should know what to expect. So, you know, if you're expecting 1 billion people to come through every single one, that's slightly unreasonable. And if you're expecting 10 people to come through and you're going to get 5 buyers from those 10 people, that's kind of unreasonable too. So just knowing, you know, what to expect. Anybody pay attention to my redundant training, basically? What are the current numbers on open houses? For every sign-ins you get, how many does it take on average to get a sale?
Okay, I can't remember if it was 20. For every 20 you might get 1.
It's pretty close to. It's 1 out of every 18 or so right now. Yeah. So every 18 people you get to sign in, that should equal a sale. Yeah. So, Julie,
You know, here's
Brian
the
Maffini kind of teach that same thing, kind of. His numbers kind of coincide.
Yeah, can you hear me again?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely, I'd say that we did an ice cream truck once, and I have the name of this gal who is awesome, and she works kind of all over. And we put out a bunch of first weekend, I think it was last April, and John had a flip in the neighborhood, and it was definitely in a neighborhood we wanted to be in, like pushing the price point. He put out a bunch of signs in the morning that day, and we actually had a rider put on our regular open house signs, because you can screw in a rider with time on it, which we thought was super helpful for people. They even commented how nice that was. And morning, but we didn't have the open house until like 1 to 4. Because this was a flip, we didn't do the seller lunch portion of it, but we actually were giving out tickets inside, and when people came in to see us, we would give them 2 tickets per couple or family to go outside and get free ice cream from the truck.
Oh,
And we loved it. Yeah, it was great.
that's a great idea, especially during the spring and summer.
Yeah, it got a lot of good families, which we figured a family would buy that house, and it got people coming by. A lot of people said no thanks because they were on a diet, but they thought it was pretty awesome. And then we did along with some of our materials, we did obviously some of the sheets that he talks about. We had flyers on the house, and we had our listing report on the house. We also have this one page, like what we do to market and sell your house for sellers, and then we also had a one page like how buyers can, how the process works. So we had things for both sellers and buyers. And then what we would do is we had a little bag, like a goodie bag, like a reverse pop-by, and we put an ice cream scooper in there that I got for like Walmarts. They were all brightly colored, and their little thing on the outside that said, you know, we're the agents that know the scoop in the neighborhood.
Oh, great idea, yeah.
And we just put the flyer that applied to them. So if they were a seller, we put our seller marketing information in there for them. And if they were a buyer, we put the buyer marketing information, but we did the, you know, the engagement. And then I've used Open Home Pro times. My only frustration is I wish it was on, because I have a different laptop that's not an iPad. I wish it was not just Apple oriented. But it is a great tool. I totally believe in it.
Okay, this is great. Because when Daryl and I did our open house, now we had, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but you know, it was like 695,000. So it was like an upscale home. And we thought that by doing the wine and cheese and inviting the sellers, our sellers, you know, we went around to the neighborhood and we specifically set aside lunch. But we found that the owners actually in that neighborhood, they weren't interested in the lunch. Because we had people coming throughout the entire time, whether it was lunch or the open house. But what we found is that, you know, it doesn't matter, you're gonna have some sort of a snack or food or whatever. And I don't know if maybe it was our expectations and that we were hoping to have more of the people that lived in the neighborhood come than did. But it still ended up being a great open house because of the potential. But the other thing that we had is that I had, you know, some of our partners that provided lunch, and we had them, they actually stayed. Like, some of them came like at the first part of the open house so that when people were coming through, they could actually talk to the person about the home warranty because she was there to answer all the questions. We had the gal that was there for escrow so that she could answer all the questions. We had one of our lenders. So we found that by, like you said, you know, having them there was an opportunity for people to ask. And so I love that aspect, and I think with any and all open houses from now on, I would like to have a specialty there so that people have somebody else to talk to. And I think that makes an impression and gives the idea that I'm going above and beyond. But I love your idea, like of the ice cream, and it's like, what else could we do to pick each other's brains so that if I throw out, you know, that I want to do an open house in this neighborhood, you all might have an idea of what else I could do.
Yeah, no, I like your idea. We haven't been consistent enough about bringing a partner. We usually get like a financial, like a lender breakdown of ways you can finance this house.
Yeah.
And we put it on the back of our flyers because a marketing guru long ago taught me flyer with a blank page on the back because you paid to print it out on some level. You may as well fill both sides of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so I love who we get to partner with. So if you want, because I don't know what you and John are using, but we're picking up more of the partners who are willing to help us with some of this printing stuff because it can be expensive. And then like Josh said, listing power tools is another fairly inexpensive way to not only have great looking brochures and things that you need for, you know, like when you're doing like your door-to-door or going out, do the advertising, but it's like, what else can we do that sets us above, you know, the normal agents so that I end up, they know that I am the specialist.
Correct, yeah, no, I definitely think that's always good to like brainstorm with each other. I have the name, I don't know if you want me to put it, if they listen to this video of that ice cream truck owner.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, would it be helpful to actually see what we could get from all of you? I know like next week is gonna be our office meeting, you know, with the agents, but I'm wondering, you know, how can, let's create a list. And then I think we can put it in our Google Drive so that we have access to whoever these resources are.
That's actually funny enough, that's one of the topics I wanted to go over was events.
Yeah.
In our Sales Edge meeting last week in Scottsdale, they were talking about several agents that basically once a month they're holding just different events, and that's their niche, And no matter what, I want Breakthrough to once a year hold a client appreciation thing. And I'd love to have it like at a big park and just invite all the agents and their past clients and people and have like a big movie in the park type night. It's affordable, you can do it on a large scale, and that's what I kind of want to do every year, either spring or fall when the weather's somewhat decent. And that's what I kind of want to do.
Yeah.
But for the agents, we have like what you're talking about, the ice cream scoop. I have the movie guy. If anybody wants to utilize it, they come, they put on a kids movie or whatever movie you want. They bring the cool popcorn carts, for everybody, and it breaks down to really cheap per person. Seriously, it's much less expensive than you think it would. We have access to bouncy house people, and then we also have Frankie, Big Cousin's Barbecue.
Yeah.
And he will gladly come to anywhere you are and provide food. So yeah.
Awesome. No, I think that'd be a great list or a great conversation to start, because we have obviously done some of our things, and Josh, that that's kind of one of my things is I do smaller events on different topics. I did my garage sale for the neighborhood, and we're going to do something else. So I'm doing some events for my client base, and then some events for this farm that I am kind of approaching now.
I love your babies. Oh, that's cute.
Now, it's really great until they do it and I'm on the phone with people. But anyway, we did a ice cream must be my theme, but we did a gelato social last summer that I invited my top clients to, my A pluses and my A's, just as a client appreciation, kind of like what Josh was talking about, to kind of break up the summer. I had way more people come than I expected. It was pretty reasonable. The guy just charged me, per person, and then gave me a discount, and so people were able to come by with their family. A lot of people brought friends with, which is what I wanted, and I sent out a video invite just like Tom talks about, and then I followed up with people to see who was coming, more of an open house concept, so they could just kind of come to the gelato shop. We didn't buy it out. So it was kind of cool because other customers were coming in and then saw all of us there, and they were kind of like, hey, what's going on? And they kind of started talking with some of my clients, and some of my would say, oh, you have to talk to Julie, she's awesome. And it was cool because they were talking to each other, and that's what was so awesome, because they were telling each other about the great experiences they had, working with me. Just a huge like word of mouth,
Absolutely. Well, the other thing that I love is like in doing the Maggie House, and we actually had people come not only because of the signs, because 30 signs, it's like we ran out of signs, but we had them everywhere, and so people came because they saw the sign. We had people come because we had the flyer. We had people come because they were like there in the neighborhood. We had people come because we posted it on Facebook. So we had people actually come to our open house by every single means of advertising, which told us that was another successful way of bringing in people to the open house. And then again, what I loved is that the seller was so impressed with what we did that not only did they recommend, and nothing has happened, but they actually gave us names of people. So anyway, it's like you can't do enough.
More is more.
Yeah, I love that. Did your sellers stay for that one, or did they leave?
Well, they left, and so that's why when we came to them with the concept of the Mega House, we said, we want your neighbors to be able to tell you goodbye. And it was funny because they said, well, we don't really know the neighbors and we're not going to be here. And it's like, okay, that's all right. We still want the neighbors to come in because they're going to want to know, what are you selling your house for, so that they'll know maybe what their house can sell for. And it was really kind of funny, you know, that they didn't want to be there for that day, but that was okay. It worked out wonderful, and just, I loved it.
Yeah, that's better. I would want the sellers, I would think most of the time the sellers would leave, and it's true, I know you guys have probably seen the numbers. Like 65% of the time the house is sold to people because a neighbor said something to a friend, a family member, or a colleague,
Yeah.
because they liked the area and they brought people in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And,
Cool.
and maybe this is where too, if you know the neighborhood and you know your seller, you know exactly how you're gonna kinda like do the advertising. But I love the idea because it's like, I think we need to pick each other's brains. Because how can I, when I am doing my open house, to make it the most successful so that each one gets better and better, but each one's gonna have its own unique,
Theme or whatever.
theme,
Yeah,
you know, because of the neighborhood. Yeah,
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 Cool.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
You ever sell a house at an open house?
No,
Isn't that something?
but
You
that's,
ever ask people, how do you like this house?
yes, yes.
To get an
But you
idea
know
of what
what?
you're looking for?
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
but the open house is not designed to actually, I mean,
Well, it
it's
is.
great.
You never
if
know,
it-
but it's
You never
just-
know,
yeah.
I've sold 2 of them
but
at
the
open
percentage,
houses.
Yeah.
have you?
25 open houses, I sold 2 houses.
That's actually,
Oh,
I think
that's-
that's higher
that's
than most. I
wonderful.
think
Yeah.
the average is, I think it's less than 10% of homes actually
Of
sell
the
from
yeah.
specifically. But the flip side is, what percentage of buyers have been to an open house in the last year? And that number is like 80% of buyers have been to at least
People
one
are
open
interested.
house in the
Yeah,
last year.
that's true,
Yeah.
that's
You're
true,
right.
that's
Yeah,
true,
it's
that's
crazy.
true,
It's
So-
a higher interest.
Yeah, it shows that they're kind of motivated or whatever it might be, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does everybody have a few moments? If you want to grab your computer or whatever, I'll show you how to do the blog thing really
Okay,
quick, if you
alright.
got a moment.
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
All right, Mom's headed over to her computer.
Josh, so I have a question for you while you're getting